A small part of that price was paid on May 3rd, 1974 by another kibbutz just up the hill from Kfar Giladi. That night, 3 PLO gunmen broke into Ms. Gavam's nursery and held its children hostage until morning. One child was killed and 4 were wounded. When Israelis do this to other people's children, they use air raids, not guerrillas, but it's all part of the same thing. Play the game and pay the price. The people of northern Israel simply dig in. It's not a good way to live, but they know no other. Kfar Giladi builds a complex of 50 underground bunkers to survive the rocket attacks of the PLO. Attacks by people who also believe they own this land.
Everything is very normal and very usual until we have the katyushas and the bombings and the shells. And we need to hide in the shelters. And then for some days or some period, our normal life is really destroyed. We have only to hide our heads and to lie very quietly to hear if it's coming through, if it's falling far.
In fact, these bunkers haven't been used much recently. For the past 11 months, there's been an effective ceasefire between Israel and the PLO. But the whole northern border area is tense. For years, the Israeli government has been longing to destroy the PLO in southern Lebanon. It's common knowledge that the plans to invade Lebanon are ready, just waiting for the right excuse. On Thursday, June 3rd, 1982, Israel's ambassador in London is gunned down in front of the Dorchester Hotel. The gunman is Palestinian, and the following day Israel seizes the pretext and launches massive air raids on Palestinian camps around Beirut. The PLO retaliates with fierce rocket attacks against the northern settlements, including Kfar Giladi. Finally, Prime Minister Begin and his Defense Minister Ariel Sharon have the excuse they need to invade Lebanon.
The cabinet took the following decision: to instruct the Israel Defense Forces to place all civilian population of the Galilee beyond the range of the terrorists' fire from Lebanon, where their bases and their headquarters are concentrated.
A military spokesman said later that the Israelis were on search and destroy missions against Palestinians who had fired rockets into Israel.
In fact, the operation which the Israelis describe as search and destroy, and which is to penetrate only 40 kilometers into Lebanon, is not that at all. It's a full-scale invasion that isn't going to stop anywhere short of Beirut.
Shortly after noon, bombs and artillery fell throughout southern Lebanon. Cover fire for the invasion launched against the Palestinian guerrillas. Civilians have been packing for days and now crowd the coastal roads fleeing to safer areas. Israeli planes pounded several areas, and the anti-aircraft fire was intense. Palestinian guerrillas brought supplies and reinforcements south before the highways were cut.
Israel's reserves are called up, and on Sunday, June 6th at 11 a.m., a whole army, around 30,000 men and over 1,000 tanks and heavy guns, plunges into Lebanon to stamp out the PLO. It's round 7 of the Arab-Israeli wars. The next day, Kfar Giladi learns of its first casualty in the new war. Yossi Keller, a young helicopter pilot from the kibbutz, is shot down and taken as a prisoner to Beirut. where Palestinians mad with rage and fear beat him to death in the streets. If he was lucky, he was dead by the time these pictures were taken. Yossi is Uri Eshkoli's brother-in-law. The pilot's father sees the pictures on television, and Uri's father tries to console him.
He said to me, so it happens to my son also, nothing to do. I'll be more silence if the body will be here in the cemetery. Now I don't know where I am. Where is the body of my son? That's what he said. And I have no words to make him a better feeling. What can you say in such a case?
Israeli tanks met only moderate opposition as they swept further into southern Lebanon today. Palestinian gunners fired sporadically but were quickly overwhelmed by the Israeli armor. Some PLO soldiers surrendered and others were killed. There's no word from either side on the numbers of casualties.
On the fourth day of the war, Nimrod Horvitz changes from kibbutznik to army captain as he prepares to leave Kfar Giladi again for Lebanon. He's already been in once, but like most Israeli men, he's in the military reserves, and the army has to let the reservists get home to their jobs whenever possible. Otherwise, the entire economy would grind to a halt. Nimrod was called again late last night, and by noon he'll be in Lebanon fighting.
Is it hard to leave your wife?
Look, not the wife, the kids. That's the problem, but that's their life here.
Do the kids know where you're going?
Yeah, sure. Sure. They know.
Nimrod Horvitz's unit has the dangerous job of hunting down the PLO guerrillas left behind in southern Lebanon when the main Israeli force pushed through.